Good day. Welcome to our press conference. My name is Louis March. I'm one of the driving forces behind the Zero Gun Violence movement. I've been crisscrossing the city for the last 6 to 7 weeks, speaking to community organizations about would they support this type of initiative. Because when you say zero gun violence, people have this impression in their mind that we're going to deliver on zero gun violence in Toronto. I want to make it clear that this is a movement towards zero gun violence, and the fact that it's a city-wide collaboration of various community organizations and programs working towards zero gun violence.
So tell me about the gun violence.
Zero gun violence, the movement is really about changing the narrative about gun violence in our community and developing new strategies that will move us towards that target of having zero gun violence in society. The question must be asked, what are the characteristics of a society that zero gun violence prevails? I guess the point is, what does the society look like? What are the characteristics? And we know it's about a just society. We know it's about a caring society with strong family units, strong communities, access, education, engagement, not for some, but for all. It's about caring for each other on the political level, on the family level, on the community level, and in the schools, and not leaving people on the periphery or excluding some where they need or they see the need to pick up a gun to claim what they think belongs to them, or to protect themselves, defend their territories and stuff. So we know what the characteristics of the society should look like. Then we have to ask the second question, where are we right now on this analysis, on this pendulum, and why do we have this tremendous gap, this tremendous deficit between where we are and where we should be? So zero gun violence is about identifying the gap and that deficit and working through collaboration with everybody in society to achieve this common objective of zero gun violence. So the movement itself has targeted 4 specific legs that we want to work with. The first piece is about re-engagement. A lot of people don't want to talk about gun violence because it doesn't affect them directly. It's over there, it's not my concern, I can't do anything about it. So for me, it's a concern that these people that have retreated or have left the scene have taken their resources with them, their goodwill with them, and it's left a vacuum. And once there's a vacuum that's created, people will jump in and start doing things what they think is right for themselves. So we have to re-engage corporations, we have to re-engage institutions such as the faith community, the education system, we have to engage communities, and we have to re-engage people to the extent that if they are part of the discussion, part of the narrative about gun violence, they bring their expertise, they bring resources that can help us to really and truly tackle this problem. The second leg of the zero gun violence movement is about collaboration and communication. There's many good people doing significant work, incredible work in our community, in terms of working with youth, working with other organizations. But a lot of them are working in silos. They're flying solo and they're not collaborating. And there's many reasons why that happens. Because many of them are funded by the government. So they're competing for government funding, and it's not truly in their interest to collaborate. They want to get as much money for their programming that they can get, and it means taking some from others. And if that's the case, then how do we come together and realize that working in silos is not in the community's best interest? So it's about how do we better collaborate and work together for that common objective of zero gun violence. The third piece has to do with recognition and celebration of these incredible people. The narrative and the picture of gun violence is very negative. It's always when there's a shooting, whether there's an incident, and it's plastered over the front pages, right? A very negative picture that discourages people from being part of the discussion. How do we turn that narrative around? How do we put a positive stories out there, profiles of these people, so people can see what success looks like? It's not as negative as people have made it out to be. There is hope, there is opportunity, right? And there is goodwill. How do we profile that in a positive way and put it on the front page so we recognize the people that are doing incredible work? Because if we don't recognize and support them, they will run out of gas. They will get burnt out very quickly. So how do we sustain them? By profiling and presenting their good stories, their successes out there, so people can see what it looks like. And hopefully that will help with the re-engagement strategy. Wow, that's not as bad as I thought. I can make a difference. And I will make a difference. Then the fourth piece, the fourth leg, the final leg of the zero gun violence movement is about education and awareness. A lot of people do not know the real roots of gun violence. Gun violence is the end result, it's the product of a society that is failing in some of its social responsibilities, right? As Dudley Laws, one of my mentors, said many moons ago, he said, Louis, none of these children were born with a gun in their hand. There's a socialization that has taken place that creates that urge, that need, that want to pick up a gun. He says, understand that socialization, and then you'll be able to solve the problem. I think it's important here to recognize that a lot of work has been done in the research, in the academic arena, in terms of the real roots of gun violence. However, a lot of those reports and information is locked up in some room on some shelf and not being addressed. The political will to activate the recommendations from these reports and these discussion papers is not there. The political will is about getting votes. Is it about a long-term solution and a sustainable solution to achieving zero gun violence? I say no, it's not. So zero gun violence movement is about the community reclaiming the strategy of dealing with gun violence in our communities. If we leave it up to the government, we're not going to make the progress that we need. So zero gun violence is about taking back responsibility and putting people back into community, corporations back into community as part of stakeholders that are concerned and willing to do what they must to achieve gun violence. One young person asked me if I have a 500-year plan. No, we do not have a 500-year plan, because we expect to achieve this as soon as we can. And I think it's within reach if we all work together. The important thing is if we all work together. This is not about gun violence in targeted or specific neighborhoods. Gun violence does not have an address. Gun violence follows the targets. So the target could be in the Eden Center, it could be in Yorkdale, it could be in Rosedale. And what we're sensing from crisscrossing the city and speaking to people is that there's an acceptable level of gun violence as long as it's in certain neighborhoods and certain types of people. And the only time that the government seriously gets interesting and wants to do something and demonstrate it through action is when that violence spills over into what they called safe areas, public areas, areas where somebody gets killed that doesn't look like your normal victim. So it seems as though, just like in economics, there's an acceptable level of unemployment in every nation as the supply of labor and the demand of labor sort of try to fix each other, and it's 4%. We need to know, is there an acceptable level of gun violence? And that means if it's in certain neighborhoods, it's okay. If it's certain types of people, it's okay. And then if that's the case, then we readjust our we readjust our campaign and we say zero gun violence as the objectives outside of the acceptable level. And if they say that there is an acceptable level, we will be down them very hard and say, no, there is no acceptable level for gun violence, because gun violence does not happen by itself. So zero gun violence movement, it's about, firstly, re-engagement, bringing those people back into the discussion, right? So that they can bring their expertise, they can bring their resources, and then they can make a difference. The second piece being about collaboration and communication. How do we work better together with the limited resources that are out there, and realize that working in silos is not going to solve this problem. The third piece being, again, recognition and celebration of the good people, the good programs, organizations that are doing incredible work with limited resources. Let's profile them instead of profiling a murder or a killing or a shooting. Let's put success stories out on the front page so people can see what's going on. And not only do we achieve the objective of putting the good stories and profiling positive stories, but the other people that are not part of this narrative, part of this discussion, might be inspired to get re-engaged. And the final piece, again, is about education and awareness. Let's understand the root cause of violence. Gun violence does not happen by itself. As I said, it's the product of a failed society where there's certain aspects, certain people that are excluded, and then they use the gun to claim their space back in society. And this is what the zero gun violence movement is about. It's about strategically refocusing the discussion itself and the strategies necessary to achieve that ultimate objective.
Excellent. What would you say would be the next step of action?
We currently have a 90-day summer campaign, because in summer it gets hot. And this is where gun violence normally peaks. So the 90-day summer campaign is to allow people to focus on the summer. And let's start doing the work necessary to build the right foundation pieces so that we can continue more. I think it's about education and awareness. It's about re-engagement. It's about having public forums, but doing it from a community perspective, not driven by the government, right? Going into the schools, going into the faith community, and underlining the importance and significance of their role and engagement in this whole strategy. This is not going to be solved in 90 days, but I think the 90-day summer campaign is a starting point. Moving beyond that, it's about awareness, education, opportunity. Changing the mindset out there that people have that says, it's not my problem, I can't do anything. Changing the mindset to, you know what, I can make a difference, and I want to make a difference. So I think that's what is going to go beyond the 90 days. And sometimes these things take on a life of their own, right? So I think it's about bringing people back together, putting them into the discussion, putting them into the narrative again. Listen to what they have to say. Listen to what the young people have to say. Listen to the ones in the detention centers. Listen to the ones in the jails, right? Listen to the parents that are struggling. Let's give them a voice at the table and let them realize that they can contribute to the solution.